your host for the session, and thank you for tuning in. That's it. If you guys want to contribute to our topics, have any questions, or just want to tell us what an amazing job we're doing, you can reach out to us at 6364252164. Now, let's jump right into it. For today, we have a special program for Teachers' Day. And indeed, we have Miss Renuka Samson here with us. And she is a retired headmistress from a reputed institution in Chennai. It's indeed a pleasure to have you on the show, ma'am.
Thank you, Yohann.
Thank you so much. So, for this edition of the Reality Bang, Mrs. Renuka and I will be having a discussion regarding Teachers' Day. I have a few questions lined up. So, we'll give you guys a better viewpoint on this topic and help you understand the contemporary age now. So, my very first question is going to be now, throughout the generations, teachers have definitely evolved to deal with students and students in the sense like students of the current generation. So, could you shed some light on this?
Thank you, Johan, for having me back on the show. I am very happy to be here for a special occasion as we are celebrating Teachers' Day,
Yeah,
which is so very personal to me. Thank you again. Right,
thank
coming
you
to your
so much.
question. A teacher has an unforgettable and influence on our students, both academically and in their character building also. Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. He also said that education is a great engine of personal development. And it is through education that a daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, the son of a mine worker can become the head of a mine, that the child of farm workers can become the president of a great nation. It is what you make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one. Year after year, our teachers get to meet a new set of students, and
Yeah.
students move up the ladder. And at one point of time, when the teacher is retained in the lower class, they wear, and the student goes a little higher, they think they become a little older. I don't know why that thought comes. We always feel that way. And through that one academic year, you'll find that the children are not the same. What they started as becomes different when they end up that year, because they're exposed to so many things which change their attitude, their behavior, and of course their character and their caliber. So the teachers
Yeah.
who handle the same subject, maybe the same textbook for years together, have to keep in mind that they are not having the same audience. That matters a lot. Okay, so when they step in, it has to be like they go in for a challenge every day. So they cannot think, I've been handling the subject for so many years, it's the same reader. No, they have to go well prepared with the willingness to hear more questions from the children and tackle every situation that they come across. So that I feel is teaching teachers these days to move up the ladder. They are able to accommodate themselves to the need of the present day students.
Yeah. So now, if we look at it like teaching as a profession, like if you take a look at it maybe 10, 20 years ago, it used to be very respected. Now, if somebody says they're a teacher, it is a little bit less respected nowadays. So, why is that exactly?
To be frank, unless the teachers are really updated in their subject as well as in current affairs, at least in a day to day basis, if not second to second, we see changes just happening like that. And
Yeah.
this has to be taken by every teacher, because at the tap of a button or a touch of a screen, a student gets hundreds of answers to his question. So he doesn't have to depend on them. And now with this AI, which has innovated every nook and corner, everything is possible by a student. So now the teacher should be in a position to win the confidence of the students, not only academically, but encourage them so that she brings about the overall performance of a child. Now, as you said,
Yeah.
gone are the days when teacher were looked upon with high esteem. Now, even the parents' attitude have changed. They expect a lot. What they cannot
Yeah.
give at home, they ask for the school to give.
Exactly.
So, when that happens, the student's mentality, their mindset is also the same as the parent. So, it so happens that they don't even give thought about their teacher's capabilities. But there are exceptions, I should say. And because of the advancement of technology these days, you find they have the whole world in their hands. And if the teacher doesn't know anything, that's it. Even the trivial things the children take it home make it so gigantic that the parents react either by asking for explanation or brand a teacher. Many a times the parents
Yeah.
forget that the teachers are handling 35 to 50 children from different backgrounds, different moods, different talents, different interests, and so on. When one parent cannot manage one or two children at home. And this was
Exactly.
felt by every parent during COVID. They would just come and ask us, Madam, when are you going to start school? When are you going to start school? Because after COVID, it has become a shift. There was a shift from more teaching, less counseling to more counseling and less teaching, because it was a necessity at that point of the children got hooked to gadgets. And here, leave alone the parents, the mentality of the teachers. I speak in the perspective of a teacher, how, like, some of them, just for the sake of money or time pass, they just take up teaching profession. They think they
Yeah.
get holidays in between, which is paid also, and they don't
Hmm.
pursue teaching as a passion, which was earlier, much earlier. And on the other
Yeah.
hand, if you take private schools, the teachers are taxed so much for the money that they are paid. It's like peanuts. And the reaction of the students is not the same. We could talk, or we can be harsh to them. In years, parents will say, leave alone the eyes. You can do anything with that child. But one knock, finished. These days, one harsh word, parents are there at the doorstep. So that makes many of them hesitate to take the risk of teaching or even correcting a student. Even teachers' mouths are shut, or they shut up their mouths because they know the consequences, both from the management side or from the parent side. So it's really risky these days. I wish there comes a day when it all goes back to the older years. Yeah.
Now, speaking about the older years entirely, now, of course, teaching, the way teachers deal with students, like the way they teach them, of course, these methods have evolved over the years, especially with new generation of students coming in. So, how has the ways of teaching changed with these new generation of students?
Yes, it has. Like, even I had the opportunity of teaching online during COVID. So with the technological era standing up, right, on every facet that we step into, you find that you, whether you like it or not, you start to apply it. The latest chat
Yeah.
GPT, it doesn't allow you to think also. You want a note, so you want a letter, you want a speech, everything is there. So the originality is sinking, which we were talking
Yeah.
about earlier. It doesn't happen. And that in one side, but then when we did the online classes, it was really pathetic. Now at least I can see your face. We'll have about for 20, 25, or 30 students, even 50 students in some classes. They cannot turn the video on because we need to have the battery charge for the next two classes. So we'll say put
Yeah.
off the video. So we will just talk to the screen. I remember how I used to strain and talk as if I'm teaching in a class. Okay, because it was difficult. So when we
Yeah.
talk to children, if there are 50 students in the class, I will expect all the 100 eyes to be on me and the blackboard. That was very important. But when that was not there, we missed a child who didn't understand from the facial expression, or a sick
Hmm.
child who couldn't sit, or a child which was totally out of place. So that was something which we enjoyed. So immediately we can stop the class and cater to the need of that particular student. But that didn't happen. That doesn't happen in technology. That's the personal touch a teacher can give. So it became so. There was a time when we said don't use cell phone and all that. But then came an era when we had to send notes, we had to make them write a test, we had to correct it, give the marks, everything online. So it was like every child got hooked to the gadgets,
Screen.
hooked rather. Okay,
Yeah.
they got hooked to the gadgets. And I felt the whole of COVID, the loss was only for students. Because LKG children, when they were at home and came back to school, they called their teachers auntie, whatever they felt like. Okay. And they didn't know the discipline of getting up and all that. We faced that, coming back to normalcy. It was a very tough phase for us. So now it becomes essential. Now the situation is like this. Teacher has to know technology so much. She has to equip herself. Though in our country there are still blackboards, green boards. We use chalk pieces. It does happen. And of course, smart boards are there. So there
Yeah.
can be an approach which is suitable for a topic, because monotonously, if you show the screen, that also children don't like. What? The teacher will come and turn on the smart board over. No, that should not be the case. According to the lesson, according to the topic, you have to make switchovers either to the smart board or personal teaching or just giving a lecture or doing a role play or whatever it is. Now, being a biology teacher, I cannot step into a class without a specimen in my hand. The contents or the internal structures, I can show it on the screen. But when they see it alive, they can connect both. So that way, a teacher has to be well versed and equipped to handle or teach a class with or without technology.
Now, throughout my schooling and even my PU and in my university as well, so a lot of teachers, like I don't know, like whether it just comes with the profession. Like there's a lot of these stories that are very interesting. You guys tell us, and I don't know, it gets me more and more interested into what is said next. So of course, I think it comes with the experience of being a teacher. So what are, according to you, like you personally, so what's the best experiences you get to experience as a teacher?
Any change from a fraction to a whole, bad to
Hmm.
better, best, in terms of attitude, academics, behavior is a reward to us, because we stay with the children at least for a year.
Yeah.
So it so happens that in some cases you can see the results immediately, but unpredictably, you come across children who come back to you and acknowledge the smallest contribution that you have made for them. I would like to cite a few examples. There was one boy, Salil, 6A. I can tell that so clearly. Okay. He came back when he finished college. He said, Ma'am, I owe my handwriting to you. What is it, Salil? I asked him. He said, Ma'am, when I write, my friends will say, how is it right? You get uniform gap between the words. He said, my class teacher, I was the science teacher, so she taught us to leave a small finger gap between each word. See, I would have told for the whole class of 50, but it has
Yeah.
worked out with Salil. Maybe that point of time I wouldn't have realized he's doing it. But at a later stage, same way when I was going in a bus one day, there was one boy who came. I was just sitting. I just saw him. I gave him a smile. I said, "Hello, Uday Kumar." He was my third standard student. By then, he is now working somewhere. He stopped in the middle of the bus. Miss, wait, I'll go get my ticket and come. I said, what? How can you remember my name, ma'am? And that is that the belonging that the children expect. That's very
Yeah.
important. Another child, she came. She just gave me a big smile when she came. She said, ma'am, my daughter gives the same trouble I gave you, ma'am. What is that? I said, is it your food? She said, yes, ma'am. Because she will never eat a food. For her grandmother will come every day and say, ma'am, she's not eating. So I will check her tiffin box every day. But the next day she brought the empty tiffin box. I said, okay, fine, very good, Menaka. Her name is Menaka. Then suddenly the girl next to her said, Madam, she's put all the food in the basket. So from next day, it happens like I should check the tiffin box, I should check her bag also, lunch bag. So like small things, but that made us so happy, because this is one profession where you get back what you did. Now maybe a doctor saves your life, but never do we go back and say thank you for saving my life. Nor does a doctor have time to listen to you, but the teacher has time.
Yeah.
Do a call or anything, you will find that. And then even now, I have a student and a parent who will have a competition who's wishing me first on Teachers' Day. So it's like that. So there's so much of so many. Of course, there have been times like, but it has a value somewhere. Then at that point of time, they would have hated me. Even I don't mind that, because if it is for the correct, I should be firm with them. I should be strict with them. And there was a time, and to be very frank, I will step into the class and I will just be serious about my business. But when there's something popping up, a child showing a certificate or something, I would love to appreciate them, make the other children clap hands, everything. So that is one thing. Madam, you didn't show favoritism to us. Okay, see, these are
Yeah.
things we walk off. We walk off. But in the years to come, when we hear that, it gives so much of satisfaction to you. That is one thing in the teaching profession. So many experiences. And this is just a few. So a teacher can have both a positive and a negative impact in our students. It gives you a sense of pride. So I still call teaching is a noble profession.
Like actually that reminds me, like even students also are very happy to see their teachers after a given point of time, because very recently Johan and I, we decided, let's go pay a visit to my PU college, and we met
Okay.
my class teacher at the time.
Great.
And it was so nostalgic. Like I remember back in the day, she used to be extremely strict. Like you had to complete your
Mm.
notes on time, you had to get a good percentage. And she told me one specific thing, like towards the end of PU, like just before the board exam came. She told, like, if my attendance was very low because I did fall sick a couple of times, so I had like 71 and I needed 75. She told,
Mm.
if you attend all these classes like for 2 months straight and do not miss it, you can go ahead and write it. But if you miss one single day, yeah, I'm sorry, you're just not going to make it. And I don't know,
Mm.
like at that time I used to take things a lot more personally, and I felt very bad after that. But recently when we went back, I she recognized me, and I was like, it was just so nostalgic. Like she remembered me, and I told, like, hi ma'am, I'm Johan. And it's like, yeah, I remember. I actually
That's
remember. And of
right.
course we did we did exchange a few words. And
Mm.
she told us like one very important lesson towards the end. It's like you can't take life for granted. Like
Mm.
life comes, life goes, but you have to value the person when the person is there, or else there's no point of having regret after the person goes. And of course, even now also she's still teaching me things. I thought, like, after all these years after all these years,
There's no
like,
end to a teacher teaching. It goes on.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt so great to meet her at last. And of course, then we left, and yeah, and I ended up meeting her a little bit later, like a few weeks later, and it was very good. It just felt very great. So, of course, you just told there's no end for teachers teaching. So, what advice would you give parents and teachers to guide their students in the right way? Especially now in this generation, you see there's a
Mm.
lot of negatives happening, and students,
Yes.
their minds are very young, and of course they get influenced by the wrong things. So what advice would you give?
Now, when you said you met your teacher, you might think the teachers looks the same. For us, though you are grown up so much, we see you in that uniform only as a student. So that's something, that always comes to mind. So when many of you come, we may not, of course, recognize the name for the number of students that we have seen.
Yeah,
So when you ask for advice for parents and teachers, it's really very tough because parents of this generation should take up. Okay, now one
exactly.
important thing I would say is in this very busy world, parents run here and there just to earn money for their children's future or keep them comfortable. Yes, it is their responsibility, but not at the expense of leaving them to the care of caretakers or tuition teachers or the school.
Yeah,
Absolutely not. Parents have to spend quality time with their children. Make time. When I was teaching, I used to find parents like, I when I get up, I don't see my father. When I lie down, I don't see him. That's so sad.
yeah,
That should not be the case. Okay,
exactly.
leaving alone the moral part of it. This in general, the child has to see the parents. It is important. They have to spend time together. That will bring about a lot of changes in the child. You can monitor, as I said, when you see a class, you look at the 50 children, okay, and when they have just one or two, they have to spend time, either of them, if not both of them, either of them. Okay, right? That is very important. So, in the process of earning for the children, making them comfortable, they cannot do it at the expense of the child earning a bad name in the society. It's not for that we have children. So, parents have to spend quality times, make sure they take them in their academics, in their small behavioral changes and everything. Have a note of them. Not like, it should be not strict, of course. It should be
Yeah,
firm, though. It should be firm, though. Not giving them a loophole. Like I had already told that at some point of time, parents should say a no to the child so that the child knows to adjust if it cannot get it. So, such training has to
yeah,
be done and doing their own work, making them a little independent, not out of our control. In control, some work that they can do on their own that will make them feel comfortable wherever they go. So those are things which can change the whole scenario of the present generation. Not that if you have a cell phone, your child now when we go shopping, so pathetic to see such a small child having a cell phone and sitting. Instead of the mother carrying
Exactly.
the child or walking and showing things to the child, they keep the child in
Mhm.
one corner and they are about their business. That's very unfair, I would say. It's really difficult, but then the parents have to get
Exactly.
themselves tuned if they want to have a future generation which is going to be happy, healthy, prosperous, and strong. Otherwise, we are going to face really disastrous things, which is already happening now also. But at least we can curtail it.
Yeah.
And to the teachers, I would say, I would like to quote again Nelson Mandela because it came to me at the right time. Everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. So, a teacher has to own her students. It's not 50 odd families, but my class 10A means they are mine. At 1 year, they are going to be, and that will
Yeah.
make you win the confidence of your children. And every time you spend with them, as I said, it's not recollecting the name of a child later, but get used within 1, 2, 3 weeks, call out names, and then get familiar with the names. I don't like teachers calling, hey, boy, girl, and all. Absolutely not. When I take attendance, I'll ask, why this name? What is the meaning of this name? That's how I get to names. And I will also ask them if I'm pronouncing it right. Maybe I'm a teacher of Asterius, but still, these are things every teacher has to know. So
Yeah.
that is very important. So as I said, these children, when I told their name, another boy by name Pratap, he was my first set student. Called him by name. He said he is now a photographer in the Hindu.
Oh.
So when I called him, he called everyone around. Please come look at this. Madam is remembering my name after 25 years. Okay, so that they have that sense of belongingness
Yeah.
because some children they don't have it at home; they expect it from the teacher.
Exactly.
So that way you pack up what is left out in the life of the child, and then the teacher has to think out of the box always. As you said, they step into a class with new audience every year, and so they have to be thinking out of the box. They cannot go the same way they had gone all these years. It is not at all correct. And you have to make children think. Of course, now with the technology, at least in the classroom, it is not for us. In India, we don't have so much of technology, but still give them the time to express themselves, appreciate them, whatever they do, small or big. Every child is equal in our eyes. And no tags who their parents are.
Yeah.
No, if I want to quote former education minister, Mr. Ponen, his son studied in my class. I'm still in touch with him. So, like, it's because of that effect. I do remember so many things about him. He tells so many things, and we share. So, it's so wonderful. It's not that, or the least of the person, a driver's daughter, she will come and say, ma'am, thank you for teaching me. Thank you for making me sit beside you and learn science lessons. So, it should be equal. No teacher should show favoritism at all in general or with the background. It should not be the case. Forget about the parents. They are all my children. That's it. And you tell them very clearly your standards. The teachers have to set
Yeah.
standards. If I say when I step into the class, writing has to be written, they should be doing it.
Yeah.
Once or twice they can make mistakes, you can give them that allowance. But everything, assist them in all their endeavors by kindness, but keeping a check. That is important. Be there for them. And whenever they want to approach you, when we have lunch, you can allow them to talk. Don't think you have your lunch, children cannot come near your desk. No. Or you with your students get to know what they have in their mind. That is wonderful because they come out with so many things. I remember I had two children from London and US. They have come back to resettle here. And if I just raise my
Yeah.
voice in the class, they'll come up to my table. They will not allow me to eat my lunch. Okay, so children are watching us. So I always tell my children, see, God is watching me, what if I am doing my duty, and you, if you are doing your duty as a student. So both of us are answerable to God. So that thought should be
Yeah.
there. So here, a teacher is one person who can instill in children the fear of God. So that fear will surely not allow them to do negative things. They can think and do what is correct and what will make them happy and also others happy. So whenever it is needed, see, though they are there from say 8 to 5 with us, we can make wonders because they look up to you, give them corrections wherever necessary, care for them, give a tap on the back if they're sick, and quiet them if they're on leave, talk to them because that is very important. A teacher goes early to class not just to finish her work but just to have a friendly chat so that she gets to know so many things. Many a times in the coaching classes, I will wind up their work, make them sit and have a general talk because that will
Yeah.
make children feel free and come out if they have any problems. So that is very, very important and no comparison whatsoever. Surely no comparison. And she can do it, why can't you? No. I will tell one thing. See, all God has blessed us all with that 1.5 kilos of brains. So nothing to more or less for a student who performs better or performs less. It's how you put to use. That's the main thing. So these are things which I would
Exactly.
like just to know. And not leaving teacher and parents separately. Only if two hands join together, we can clap in appreciation.
Yeah.
Teacher and the parent have to work together so they uplift a child, bring him a, make him a wholesome individual so that in future we need not worry about the child. So just tell your students a very simple way of making your students believe you is just tell, follow my instructions. It's easy. If I say tomorrow submit your record, submit, finish. Follow the instructions, that's all. And make sure that they are taught to manage time at all levels. It's very important. And whenever possible, give them time to think, give them responsibility so that they will know how to manage and work, adjust, and come out with proper solutions. And whenever possible, teamwork has to be given. Everything has to be encouraged and always have positive attitude. Many a time, some children think, okay, this is my mark, I cannot get. I'll say, next time get 1 mark more. That's enough for me. That's very convenient for me. That's enough. So slowly you can come out. There's still time for you. So give that push so that they can get build up their confidence and move on. But above
Yeah.
all, everything the teacher does, there should be some humor in the class. If not, life is surely dull. Of course, the science and the maths and the geography and whatever we have will not allow that. For the plan of action has to be completed, the syllabus has to run through. So it will not happen. So it should be sandwiched with some humor because we are handling with precious life who surely look up to teachers for answer. Yes, still there is that personal touch in a classroom more than what they learn in a system or tuition center, whatever it is. When they step into the class, there's so much to learn. So we have to catch them young, mold them, and let them sparkle in all walks of life like a diamond. That can be surely achieved when both parents and teachers work together.
Exactly. So that was very very good advice. All parents and teachers and students also do take heed to this advice. And with that said, that officially brings us to the end of today's show. A huge thank you for Miss Renuka for joining today's show.
Thank you very much, Johan. FEBA, you made this Teachers' Day very special for me. I'm so happy I could contribute my part on this special day. Thank you very much, Johan.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a pleasure to have you on the show. So
Bye.
remember, guys, we air on Mondays at 4:30 p.m. That's it. If you guys want to contribute our topics, have any questions, or just want to tell us on an amazing job we're doing, you can reach out to us at 6364252164. And a huge thank you to our listeners for tuning in to this edition of The Reality Bang, your weekly dose of your power, brought to you by FEBA Online. This is RJ Yohann. Hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you next Monday. And before I say God bless you, I just wanted to wish all the teachers and all the parents a very